On July 29, 2009, 14-year-old Tyler Cole went across the street to a friend's house to hang out and stack. What he did that day was incredible. Tyler Cole stacked a 363 in 1.97 seconds. Even with knockoff lime cups, a wobbly table that was too small for his mat, a shoddy timer, and filmed from a side angle by a friend, Tyler Cole became the first person in the world to stack a 363 in under 2 seconds. In other words, Tyler Cole got his first one. Since then, just over 200 stackers from around the world have also broken the 2-second barrier and have entered the One Club, including me. Hi, my name is Robbie Weatherington, and I broke my 363 record. Now, it's been a while since I posted on YouTube, and some of you might have wondered where I've been, and to be honest, that's not a bad question, as the last time that I posted on this channel was December 9th, 2020 to post my capstone for my BFA in dance, and prior to that was my Cycle Explain video from 2019, meaning it's been about 2.5 years since I've posted a cup stacking related video on this channel. In the meantime, since posting that video, I continued undergrad at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, competed at the 2019 Northridge Open and set a now defunct state record with Cameron Bobus in doubles and somehow got 4th overall. Competed at the Battle of the Bluegrass tournament and got a decent cycle time. Continued to collect puzzles and even modded a few. Lived through a pandemic and even contracted and recovered from the virus. Learned how to skate and typically have the most fun doing old school tricks. Got into rock stacking. Went skydiving. Attempted and successfully beat the Guinness World Record for stacking the most M&Ms on top of each other, but never got Guinness to officiate the record. Grew my hair out for a bit, but not like it was when I was younger.
Sup?
Created my dance film giving a voice to those with Tourette syndrome. I also have Tourette syndrome. Started dating Eliza Fry. DoorDashed for a while. Graduated from Ball State University with a bachelor's in social work and a BFA in dance, and snuck my way in to walk twice for each degree. Transitioned from Muncie, Indiana to Cleveland, Ohio, not to be confused with my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, and moved in with my girlfriend. Started working at Cleveland Clinic School for Autism. Competed at the 2021 Northridge Open, where I would have had a decent cycle time, but had not one, not two, but 3 sliders in my fastest time. Thankfully, I had a 7:06, so I was still able to get 4th overall. And so far, I've made a decent impression on the Cleveland professional freelance scene, where I presented original work with Eliza at Cleveland Dance Festival, was featured as the Nutcracker in Ballet Legato's The Nutcracker, and performed as Joe Lazenby in the show Ordinary People. I also applied to grad school for applied behavioral analysis to become a board-certified behavior analyst and committed to Hunter College in New York City, and will be moving there to attend school in the fall. While I have not been stacking or posting videos that much as of late, a lot has gone on in my life, and these are facts that I'm proud of. That being said, most of the videos that you're about to see are about 2 years old, but that does not make them any less relevant to my life. If you are not familiar with cup stacking, also referred to as sports stacking or speed stacking, it is an anaerobic sport centered around 12 plastic cups specially designed for stacking and not drinking, as shown by the aerodynamic holes and the upside-down riding. While small, the elite stacking community is fiercely competitive, and the difference of 100th or 1000th of a second in a time stack could mean winning or losing a competition. For example, the closest cycle relay race that ended with a winner in competitive sports stacking history was completed on July 26, 2013 at the Junior Olympic Games, including the defending reigning champions of Team Ohio, which I was a part of, against Team New York, which included the historically notable Peruganin brothers, and me facing off against 3-time world champion Steven Peruganin, which made me quite nervous. This race ended in a 39.269 and a 39.270, barely giving Team Ohio the win. Sports stacking, in its individual competitive form, is made up of 3 choreographed formations, also known as stacks. The 3-3-3 is made up of 3 consecutive 3 stacks stacked up and down, back to back. The 3-6-3 is much the same, except with a 3, 6, and 3 stack. The cycle is made up of a 3-6-3, a 6-6, and a 1-10-1. For comparison, the 3 stacks are comparable to track and field's 100, 200, and 400 meter races, with the 333 having an all-out sprint mentality similar to the 100 meter dash, the 363 still having a sprint mentality but with a more calculated intent similar to the 200 meter dash. And while the cycle still is a sprint, it has a more long-distance approach to sprinting similar to the 400 meter dash. In this video, we will be focusing on the 363 and the milestone that I achieved within the stack. I have known that it was possible for me to stack a 363 in under 2 seconds since I got my first 2.0. In other words, I got my first 363 in under 2.100 seconds on March 6, 2018. Prior to officially setting out on stacking a 363 in under 2 seconds, my record at the time was 2.032 seconds, set on November 24, 2018. As you might have already concluded for yourself, 2.032, or more colloquially, 203, is just a fraction of a second away from being under 2 seconds. This seems deceptively easily achieved, but at this speed, there's virtually nothing else left to tweak. When a stacker first starts out, they are still thinking about how many cups to grab. When this is mastered, transitions between stacks can be optimized, and when this is controlled, small things like adjusting the distance between the cups and the timer can be made more efficient. But at this point for me, I'm giving it everything that I have. I'm finding a balance between tensing and relaxing my muscles, but I might as well have my eyes closed when I'm stacking. There is no decision making that is happening, just rote memorization and repetition being expressed through my hands. Any slight deviation to the stack, like a cup being placed a fraction of an inch to the left, could prove disastrous, as there was no reasoning, adjusting, or even thinking when stacking this fast. When stacking at this speed, I try and stay as relaxed as possible, but unfortunately my muscular and mental tension often get the best of me. When standing in the same spot for hours, monotonously trying the same thing over and over for an attempt to be completed only to be just short of your target time, it is frustrating. Especially when through your own clumsiness, a cup is shifted just slightly to be in the way of your hands and the timer, so the fragility of its plastic makeup is exposed and the cup is cracked. Cups cannot be repaired, so why not finish the job in a release of tension? Attempting to beat my 2.032 proved to be quite difficult. I stacked casually but did not really have the time necessary to devote to this goal until the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, where I had to go back to my hometown and had nothing but time. I got times like this. 2.033, where I was literally 1,000th of a second off my time. I have been this close before and it has amounted to nothing, so I wasn't going to let this opportunity go to waste. I decided I was not going to stop stacking until I beat my 2.032 and I got my first one in the 363. This was the start of 3 consecutive days where for some reason I continuously wore a tank top, and I'm sorry. To continue with April 9th, 2020, this was arguably one of the most frustrating days in my stacking history. I did, in fact, beat the aforementioned 2.032, but did not get my coveted 2-second time. I beat my record 3 times in the span of an hour, which is virtually unheard of for me and pretty much the same for the elite stacking community at this speed, as personal bests can last for months or even years, even with consistent stacking, but I was persistent. I beat my 2.032 with a 2.019. A few minutes later with a 2.017, and then again with a 2.012. As you can see by my diminishing reactions, I am pretty much over it at this point, but I continued. I began to flirt with the 2-second barrier by stacking sub 2-second times, but unfortunately scratching them in the down stack. When stopping the timer, your hands cannot be holding onto the cups or appear to be holding onto the cups, and the cups have to stay upright for it to be a clean time. Had the cups stayed up when stopping the timer in either of these clips, I would have achieved my goal of stacking a sub 2-second 363, but sadly, they are scratches. Day 2, April 10th, 2020, was a bit different. Right off the bat, I tied exactly my personal best of 2.012 without much effort. I could see how someone could take this as motivating to continue, but I took it personally and could not get over the frustration. While I tried to continue stacking calmly, within minutes I was seething. I draw the line at property destruction, and my stacking session that day was terminated early. On day 3, April 11th, 2020, I started stacking early and pretty quickly stacked a 2.016. I felt myself getting frustrated, similar to the day before, so I pretty much took myself aside and said, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Try and be zen about the situation, and just stack. And I did. I got a 2.003 stack, which I did not let faze me, and then a 1.996 scratch because the 6 fell. This was a very close scratch, but again, I made sure to let it wash right off me and continue stacking. And to my surprise, I did it. And boy was it a jump.
Yes! 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 First one! Oh my, yes!
.958 seconds, a jump of 0.054 seconds, which at this level of speed is monumental. However, this time does not come without controversy. If slowed down and zoomed in, it can appear that my hands were still holding on to the final 3 stack when stopping the timer, as seen by the movement they make when I stop. I've come up with 4 reasons why the cup may have had this movement. The first is that I was holding on to the cups when I stopped the timer, meaning it is a scratch. When I was a younger stacker, I did not understand the scratching implications of wrist stops and holding onto the cups until I was immersed into competition. Here is a clip of me boasting about this as a kid.
Plus, I went like this. Like, I always do this. I always go like this. Boom!
The second reason is that I slammed the stack so hard on the table that the vibrations of the table made the stack bounce up. This, however, is unlikely, as the table that I was stacking on is extremely solid. The third reason is that while I may not have been holding onto the cups, I might have bumped them when reacting, but this does not seem likely when reviewing the tape. Now, this is probably clean as long as we can see that the cups would have stayed up by themselves without intervention. An example of this is this record-breaking clip. The fourth reason is that I was not holding onto the cups, and rather the stack was wobbling freely and bumped into my hand. Even if this was the case, it would be regarded as clean by the WSSA. I decided to interview a number of notable names within the stacking community to get their opinions on the time and its validity.
Hi, my name is Peter Ford. I'm 25 and I'm from Rhode Island.
My name's Tyler Cole. I'm now 27 years old. I'm from Toronto, Ontario.
I'm William Morell. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Clemens, North Carolina.
All right, my name's Chris Schutte. Look at that. See? Got you, bro. I am 24 years old and I'm from Indiana.
I believe a clean stop is when the stacker stops the timer. They don't appear to have their wrists or arm on the timer.
So that means you don't have your thumb and fingers wrapped around it at the same time when you come in contact with the timer.
The cups come to a rest on their own and they don't appear to be holding the cups to a point where it's stopping them from resting on their own.
You don't stop with the wrist or any farther back when you're stopping the timer.
The opinion varies person to person.
In the last 4 or 5 years, there's been just a lot of changing views, and it was a lot different than our clean-handed flat back in 2009, right?
It's hard because what the community believes is a clean stop and what the WSSA believes are just 2 completely different things.
How much do you know about cup stacking?
Literally. Literally nothing.
Yeah. And what do you think happened?
So what I think happened was when you were pulling back with your hand to stop the timer, you weren't holding the cups, but what happened was the 3 slid and bounced against the 6, and then it bounced back on your hand, and then it stood up. But because it bounced on the stack first, I don't think it really matters what happens afterwards if it bounces on your stationary hand. So I believe it's a clean run because of that. I don't think you were holding the cups at all. If anything, you were probably just touching them with your fingers, which is allowed.
I would deem this a clean time, yeah.
I would call it clean. If this is a WSSA time, I would judge it as clean.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the rules, and then I'm going to show you the video. I just want your opinion. It's going to go quick, just so you know.
Okay.
I'm pretty fast.
It looks clean to me. I mean, it's my expert opinion. I think it's clean.
All right,
You
cool.
heard it here first.
Ultimately, since the time was not set in a WSSA sanctioned tournament, I am not under the influence of the WSSA review board. At home times instead are for the most part dictated clean by the diverse cup stacking community as a whole. And as we have seen here, key pillars of the community, including a control group, have given it their green card of approval. Because of this, I am allowing myself the mental freedom to consider this a clean time. However, I am open to hearing your opinions in the comments. Milestones are milestones because they are hard to achieve. They are distinct and easily recognizable, and in this case, it is the milestone of stacking a 363 stack in under 2 seconds. And while there is only a thousandth of a second in difference, a time of 2.000 is nothing. A time of 1.999 is everything. Needless to say, a milestone like this is a mark of excellence in this given genre that if given enough time, effort, and dedication with no extenuating circumstances can and will be achieved. But at this level of skill, a devotion to the sport is an understatement. I spent my childhood living and breathing cup stacking with friendships, bragging rights, and a couple of state records to show for it. Achieving countless milestones within this niche hobby like my first 6 in the cycle, my first 1 in the 333, my first 5 in the cycle, and now my first 1 in the 363. Or even outside of this genre, like my first sub 20 3x3 solve, my first pop shove it in skating, or my first round off back tuck, has taught me one thing. While I may have spent the majority of my life stacking cups, collecting puzzles, juggling, learning instruments, dancing, and many other hobbies that to some may not amount to more than a party trick like a bottle flip, the determination and dedication through monotonous hours of engaging in any of these areas of skill, including stacking, have grown the muscle of delayed gratification that will in fact carry me throughout my life. I know what it feels like to set out and pursue personal excellence, and anyone who has set out a goal of this nature for themselves knows what that feels like too. Right now, I'm preparing to start graduate school in the fall to continue my professional and educational career within the autism community, and I have my practice dedication in my back pocket to rocket me into the professional world. Sometimes the journey to excellence is not always about the goal that is originally set out, but is about the personal lessons that are learned. So while I set out to achieve the goal of stacking a 363 in under 2 seconds, that moment, while invigorating, was fleeting. But now I know how to chase that feeling and will transfer that skill into something useful. And for those of you who set out goals like this for yourself, I hope you do too. Thanks for watching.